All right, good evening, everybody. It is Steve with Real Progressive. It's about 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about a line from a favorite Tool song. And it says, "What you want and what you need don't mean that much to me." Maynard James Keenan. And the reason why I'm saying this tonight in particular is we're looking at a situation where they purposely have made the economy such that a certain number of people are really thriving in it. So they don't want to change anything. They want the world to stay exactly as it is. It's perfect for them. The sun always shines. Everything's kosher. They can't be bothered to look beyond that. As long as they can throw $10 in a jar or $50 towards some cause they believe in, they feel like they've done their part. I give. But they haven't really thought about the full implications of what's going on. And to be perfectly fair, we all know, at least we should know by now, that charity is a poor substitute for actual meaningful programs that actually solve the problems that we have as a nation and, quite frankly, as a world, as a globe, as a planet that we all inhabit. We see far too often that people feel like we can somehow or another tap Bill Gates to solve the problems of Africa, or that somehow or another we can tap Tesla to solve, or, all these different groups, right? From the beginning of time, we thought we could tap some rich person and they could make all of our problems go away. The problem with this thinking is that it can't happen that way. It really does start somewhere else altogether. And so how do you make people that are feeling just fine, that life is doing just great, care about you and your problems, care about you and your life beyond just here's $25 now, leave me alone. And I think that we come down to the point where it's like the what's in it for me moment kicks in. And the what's in it for me, I think it's really important that we realize that what's in it for them is that it doesn't matter how rich you are. Or maybe it does. Maybe being rich can get you off this planet. But for right now, my suspicion is that being rich isn't getting you any further if you're in the wrong spot. Bottom line is that we are heading towards serious climate change issues, and maybe the rich are the only ones that will survive this kind of a fallout if we don't do something about it soon and make them see us as human beings. And the reality is it's not going to come from their money, right? We're going to have to do something different. We're going to have to think differently. We're going to have to come up with a way that makes us stay focused on these facts. I mean, have you ever been to a situation where people were not paying attention no matter how much you screamed, no matter how much you yelled, no matter how much you pointed at some injustice? They just ignored you, or they just placated you or patted you on the head. It happens to me all the time, unfortunately. I raised the bar about climate change. And, there's a ton of people talking climate change, but I'm talking about it from a slightly different angle. Okay. Everybody thinks that they got some miracle answer to how this is going to all work out. And the reality is that we have real life evidence of times in human history, and even near time human history, where we have been able to make people care from top to bottom. And I look back no further than World War II as a time when this nation pulled together, and nations around the world pulled their resources together to do truly great or terrifying things, depending upon your perspective. We know that we have the ability to rise up and take on incredible challenges when our backs are against the wall, when we feel that there is no choices other than that. So how do we make everyone realize what's at stake so that it's not just the rich versus the poor, the comfortable versus the uncomfortable, the greens versus the blues, the reds versus whatever? How do we get people to stop worrying about Proud Boys and Antifa and start focusing on the fact that pretty soon both of them are going to be underwater, drowning in red algae with acid rain and all kinds of other tornadoes and droughts and food shortages, et cetera? How do we get people like that to stop focusing on fist fights in the streets and start focusing their energies on trying to find a way to get our country mobilized to attack climate change? and quite frankly, a host of other issues that create Proud Boys and create Antifa and create fascists and all kinds of other horrible situations. Let's be fair. I want to talk a little bit about the history of these sorts of things and why, quote unquote, these bad people come to be. But in reality, we have to understand that we've got to find a shared problem. We've got to find a problem that both sides, all sides can understand it impacts them to get the wake-up call out there. And that is class-based wake-up call as much as race-based wake-up call, as much as gender-based wake-up call, as much as, whatever. All the other little balkanized neoliberal identity politics divisions that we have that make us all so different and so unique that we couldn't possibly pull together for anything. You know what I'm talking about? The things that make us so unique, we can't win. How do we do that? And I think climate change is really the key here. I know the right wing has all these people laughing at it, but there's a lot of things out there that make it so that we can take the symptoms, the causes, or I should say the fallout from climate change and show people of varying walks of life, how it's impacting them, as opposed to just this big climate change word that has really, really become a lightning rod for doubters and for conspiracy theorists. Agenda 21, they're just trying to enslave you, whatever. How do we get through this horrible situation? Now, I did a show the other day talking about timelines. And we talked about the fact that we only have 12 years to get this right. We got 12 years before we hit a point. We've already hit the point where we're going to have problems. We've already blown past that. And it's kind of been like thumbing our nose at it, like, who gives a crap? We're right back to watching pop music on TV. We're right back to going out partying, doing whatever. We're not really sitting there taking it seriously. We show up to protests that turn into parades. We're not actually protesting. We're not actually realizing that, hey, shit's going to get real and it's going to get real fast. 12 years, right? So when I was talking to several people, Bill McKibben came into Lancaster last night. We had someone film him. We filmed it in the Real Progressives group. If you're not a member of Real Progressives group, we're trying to really, really light a fire and bring people in there so that we can start making sure we have a large audience to hear the message. We also obviously have Real Progressives page where we'll be doing that as well, and on Twitter and on YouTube, Instagram, you name it. But I think it's very important to understand that Bill McKibben of the 350 group, he's got a great game on climate change. This is a guy who really gets the damage and destruction and the real serious issues that come with climate change. But let me tell you something else. Bill McKibben doesn't know economics. That's not his thing. And he's not somebody that supports MMT. And he's not somebody who gets MMT. But he gets the environment. So you got to start looking at all these people. Here's this champion, this warrior for environmental issues that we could really, really partner with. It'd be great to partner with 350. It'd be great to partner with all these different groups. But they are not going to be able to pay for any of the mass mobilization programs that they want because they don't know how to do it. And so everybody's wringing their hands. How are we going to take care of this? There's just not enough tax dollars out there, to save us. We're going to have to die because we don't have enough tax dollars. It's just not enough tax dollars out there to save us. It's very depressing on one hand. On one hand, the minute you start talking about this stuff with people, they throw up some blog out of nowhere, some rogue trader, blah, 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 writes some articles. I'm debunking MMT. They don't even go down and look at the next links when they do their web search on MMT because they don't know what MMT is. They don't care what MMT is. They just throw some hater link at you and act like, well, there, I've debated you in good faith and all you're doing is resorting to insults. Most people are sitting there going, I don't give a shit. I don't care what you want. I don't care what you need. It really don't mean that much to me. You got to ask yourself, why would Bill McKibben be against MMT or not right on board with it because it gives the mobilization vehicle to satisfy climate change problems so that we, have a shot, so we survive. Why would you think so many regular activists, before they bother reading any of the information available from actual MMT economists, would suddenly throw some Jared Bernstein article that's full of crap that was debunked not only by Kelton, by Mitchell, by Joe Firestone, you name it, Randall Wright, they all debunked the living crap out of it, answered every one of his questions in spades and destroyed it. But yet somebody, rather than do the work, threw that at us. It's like you begin to wonder, do you care about what it is we're trying to fight about? Do you understand we're here to try and educate you, not fight with you, but educate you so that we all can create this mass movement so we can address this thing that we all care about or should care about or will be impacted by, which is climate change. It is absolutely frustrating to see people that you would consider to be allies in the fight, that are actively fighting against you because they don't understand MMT. When you put something out there, some very important, vital information, and you look and all of a sudden you see a face that's laughing, like the laughing emoji, you begin to realize they really don't care what you want. They really don't care what you need. It really don't mean that much to me. They would rather be right and mock you than learn and figure out they were wrong so that we can mass mobilize to fix these things. They would rather go out in the street and fist fight with Proud Boys and Antifa, videotape and make sure they videotape it. Cannot miss the videotape. Got to have the videotape of the fight to watch them running from one side of the street to the other, watching a bunch of people kicking somebody, watching them run across and do it again, because that's the important stuff. That right there, my friends, that's what's important. It's not the 12-year window we've got to solve climate change. It's Proud Boys versus Antifa. It's a good old slugfest in the streets of Portland, Oregon. I don't really care what you want. I don't really care what you need. It really don't mean that much to me. That's all I hear when I see this stuff. So Bill McKibben, top of the food chain when it comes to climate activists, written many books, been on great HBO specials, been local, somebody who I have great respect for, tremendous respect for. Just he doesn't understand economics, won't embrace the economics that can save us. And then the other folks that just want a good old-fashioned fist fight. Damn it, I can't take it out on my family. Let me go run out in the streets and fight somebody. I mean, you're not seeing anything good happen. You're not seeing anything come from that. This is not what we call fruitful endeavor. We're so distracted by this nonsense that we missed the point that we've got 12 years and they will be swept up as they're kicking some guy while he's falling down from stumbling on a curb. 12 of them are sitting there kicking him. Great. That is, man, if that's what you want to do with your life, man, who am I to judge you, right? Because that sounds like an endeavor worthy of investment. But I look at this 12-year window and I say, what's it going to take to make people think about what is at stake? And I see everyone distracted. Folks, I mean, for real distracted. Just a lot of people are disgusted. A lot of people are depressed. A lot of people are very focused on electoral politics, like they think somehow or another we're just going to simply vote our way to the promised land. I worry deeply that we can't get our message out through social media, that we can't get our message out through the mainstream media, and that the people are more satisfied with impulsivity, just this impulsive behavior that gives them a quick fix, a quick shot of adrenaline, because they're so dismally affected by society. They have given up on anything meaningful. They've given up on actually affecting real change. You know, I look at it like this. I see a lot of these folks, they're really genuinely sick people. And I'm not talking about sick like as in crazy sick, like as in mocking. I'm talking about sick from neoliberalism. Neoliberalism has made many people ill. There's studies out there that show the effects of neoliberalism and how it has created a dog-eat-dog world that makes people feel like they're living in a war zone. There's people in abject poverty around the world that wouldn't want to come to the U.S. based on the way we treat our poor. You got to really be born with the sun shining on you for it to be okay in this country anymore. So when you see folks rallying to these identity politic gang warfare things that you see with Proud Boys and Antifa and other stuff, distracting from climate change, distracting from healthcare, distracting from eradicating student debt, distracting from a job guarantee, distracting from actually solving the underlying root causes that creates Proud Boys and creates Antifa. Because we don't address the root causes that create desperate people, we keep creating more desperate people. And desperate people can't focus on 12 years from now. They can only focus on 5 minutes from now, if that. So I come back to the title of this program. I really don't care what you want, and I really don't care what you need. It doesn't mean that much to me. And I'm butchering because Maynard says it much, much slicker. What you want and what you need don't mean that much to me. Anyway, I worry because how do you think we mobilized tanks, ships, airplanes, you name it, to a war on a faraway continent across an ocean without the benefit of the World Wide Web, without the benefit of cell phones and smartphones and, you know, tablets and without any of the things we are used to today, without even having call waiting? They didn't even have call waiting. Hell, I'm not sure they even had touch-tone dialing yet. I think they were still very much in rotary dialing. How do you think we were able to mass mobilize that kind of thing? Full employment, all factories gunning toward fixing this major problem. Do you understand? To do something that massive is going to require focus. It's going to require focus. It's going to require our enemies and our friends and our frenemies focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's survival of the species, staving off another mass extinction. Now, I'm not an alarmist. Trust me when I say this. I get why this is a hard subject for people to grasp. We've been hearing forever that the world is warming and hearing different changes and shifts, and it's really, really hard to understand the science behind it because most of us aren't scientists. Hell, I know I'm not a scientist. But I understand the economics, and I understand that in order to do the things we must do, which costs trillions of dollars that we keystroke into existence. Do you understand what I'm saying? The same amounts of money and then some that we spend on this military apparatus that we could easily spend towards fixing our power grid, fixing the emissions, the carbon footprint, you name it. Finding new ways to handle waste. Finding ways to literally clean the air, to clean the filters of our planet. To plant 1 million trees, a bazillion trees, whatever it takes. To find ways to get the ocean to better filter the sunlight and handle the different things that our planet has designed to do from day one. The reason why we have this planet to sustain life. But here we are, once again, watching people jump from here to there and there to here and back and forth again. And I keep saying, we got 12 years. So you think to yourself, okay, so he has the economic side of this down. Now he's looking for a cause that we can all rally around as well. Healthcare isn't bonding everybody. I don't know why that is. That's just ridiculous. Student debt relief isn't uniting everyone. People can't focus. They want to go fight in Oregon in the streets and kick somebody when they trip over a curb or fall over a car. It's more fun than focusing on taking student debt away from people that are committing suicide. For some reason, that's more funnerer. Or they want to follow some guy, this fake guy that's leading them all over the place with a letter Q in front of their name. They want to do anything but focus on actually solving the problems before us. I don't have all the answers to how to fix that, but I do have the answers to the fix. Once we can get focus on this stuff, the reality is there's a lot of solutions out there that satisfy a great many of the problems. There's the technology to do these things today. There's not the political will. There's not the populist will, and there is not an understanding of the economics that empowers the whole damn thing. So if your goal here is just jobs, if all you care about is making sure the economy has good jobs for people, caring about the environment is going to jumpstart the economy with huge amounts of jobs, tons of work for people, high-paying jobs. If your goal is just making sure that your kids inhabit a planet that is, life-sustaining, well, we've got that too. If you want to focus your energy on Medicare and stuff like that, that's great also, because by creating an efficient healthcare system, we can start talking about some of the causes of why our health is bad and start looking at the atmosphere and looking at the environment and start beginning to pair in the health concerns that come with a bad environment. And then we can go ahead and mobilize. But we don't have a lot of time. We can't keep running the streets of Oregon, kicking people when they trip over curbs while we have a conveniently held camera so we can film the event. Not cool, people. Not cool at all. We have absolutely got to get ourselves to the point where we accept that if we don't do it, no one will. It requires each one teach one about this stuff, from the economics that empowers all of it. And I'm telling you, if we focus on climate change, the jobs that will come from that will be epic. So people that don't care about the climate, that care about work, we got you covered. But if we don't focus on the economics to empower this, we're just going to be power braking in the parking lot. We're not going anywhere. Going to make a lot of skid marks and not go anywhere. We talk about unification, but I always see that unification being about electoral politics. I'm not here to tell you anything wrong with whatever you want to do. I vote because I consider it an important thing. I vote for the candidate that I feel is the most likely to support the issues that I support. Party be damned. That's how I go. Now, it's quite obvious by the name Real Progressives that I skew toward the progressive candidate. But I want it to be known that that doesn't have a party name wrapped around it. I also want it to be known right here, right now, that it's not just your friend or your neighbor or somebody else's job to do this. It's yours. It's your job. Your kids, you yourself, will not be able to escape the things that come as a result of our earth purging the toxins from it its own way. There's some things we have control over. But I'm telling you what, the earth knows how to throw up a bad drink, knows how to get rid of that Long Island iced tea from the night before, and it's going to get rid of us. I'm telling you, it ate the worm, and it's getting ready to get rid of it. The only thing we can do at this point, most likely, is mitigate the damages. We're already seeing the results of us taking it for granted. That's on us. So if people don't care about the economics because they think it's just some stupid math thing or something they didn't enjoy in high school, stop worrying about trying to do math problems. You don't need to do math problems. That's for econometrics folks. You're not an econometrics doctor. You don't need to focus on that. Nobody's asking you to calculate the demand curve. Nobody's asking you to calculate the mean of the slope. Nobody's asking you to calculate anything. No return on investment. We're asking you to understand that the nation itself can't go broke, that it can never be insolvent, and that we can do all of the things that we need to do to survive as a species without fear of going broke. First of all, if we don't, it won't matter if we have the ability to print our own money or not, because we'll be dead. But you can also understand when somebody comes in sauntering about, talking about what are we going to do, have hyperinflation. I always marvel at that, the hyperinflation myth, you know? And you know, this is one of my favorite things right here. I hope you understand that as part of this, you know, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, you know, if everybody thinks that we just got to go running around chasing after this and that, you know, if everybody's going to chase after every Proud Boy in America, if everybody's going to chase after every Antifa, if everybody's going to, you know, chase after this conspiracy, that conspiracy, you know, follow the secret messages from Q and everything else, we're not going to be on this planet for long, and it won't much matter who got over on who. All that corruption ain't going to matter to you one bit when you're dead. I tell you what, watching your kids suffer and struggle, boy, oh boy, that's going to be a real mother. You know what? I don't want to be that guy that's standing there giving you the scowling, wagging finger saying, I told you so. But if it helped you understand, if it was even you were even willing to understand that your recalcitrance, your unwillingness to learn this stuff is directly impacting your children, you know, I would say, you know, come on, guys, you know, I mean, what are you thinking? I mean, what are you thinking? So you know, I'm going to put up a poll here in a second, and I'm hoping that you all take a minute to answer this. But you know, I wonder, you know, do you think this? I'm going to say, how important is MMT to the progressive movement, and do you think it is the key to saving us, basically? You know, I'm hoping that, you know, folks really get this. So here's our poll. It's going up right now, and hopefully y'all will be able to start, you know, answering that. Let me go ahead and pull this down, and we're going to put this up. And boom, there we go. Let me know if y'all see the poll or not. But in the meantime, let's go up with Steve here real quickly. You know, my hope is that what we've been doing here helps you guys feel empowered. It helps you feel empowered because you're given so much disinformation. I mean, I used to be a, you know, very ill-informed as well. And there are things that I've got to learn still to this day. But one of the things I don't have to learn is loving my family. And, you know, I'm pretty sure that right-wing and left-wing people love their families. I don't think that somebody's got a monopoly on the other, you know? And so if you ask yourself, so I guess this polling thing doesn't work here. Maybe it does. Let me try it one more time here. Oh, still not showing it. Let me know if you all see this or not. Nope, you don't see it? All right. Well, this is a new feature of BeLive that I will be sure to give them feedback that it ain't working. So here's one more thing I'm going to end with here really quickly. Oh, you do see the poll. Well, I hope you can see it. If not, then it's real difficult here to play the game. My apologies. Trying something new is always difficult under live fire. But I'm showing you this here because this right here tells us point blank that our tax dollars actually do not pay for anything, right? So when you're talking about climate change, all right, no poll, I got it. We're not going to worry about a poll tonight. We'll figure it out. What I'm hoping you all will realize is that ultimately having an understanding that it isn't tax dollars we got to chase to do great things, you will be able to find yourself. We're still hoping you'll be able to find yourself a way to convince people. We're hoping you will be able to convince people that it's okay to support things that they aren't necessarily fervently passionate about. You know, I think that it's really, really cool and hopeful that ultimately you all will be able to take this knowledge and teach people something, because tax dollars at the federal level aren't what's feeding the shop, you know? I mean, I hate to put that out there because that should be common sense by now. People should already know that, but they don't. And so you end up in these non sequiturs, these silly fights. You're like, dude, I just want to survive. I just want to survive. That's all I want to do is survive, man. I'm not looking to get over on the system, not looking to game the system, whatever that means. Little people don't have the ability to really game the system. So let's get that clear, right? It's the big people up top that have all that money that are able to game the system. Little people gaming it is not a game at all. They're barely surviving. Get over it. Let's hope a few people figure out how to game the system. It'd be nice if we didn't need to game the system so that we could just solve these major problems. So what I'm hoping from you all, what I'm really, really hoping from you all is this, that you come away from these discussions and you go out there and you fight like hell to get the word out. You fight like hell with your candidates. You fight like hell with your neighbors. You fight like hell with your friends, and you get the word out. And when I say fight, I'm not talking about being nasty. I want to be real clear here. I'm saying present this stuff. Don't hide from it because you're afraid you'll get ridiculed. Trust me, I've lived with ridicule for a long time. You get stronger and people start listening to you after you prove that you're not going to wilt. I mean, I've had horrible stuff thrown at me and you just keep fighting through it. I'm not telling you it's good. If I could stop everybody from acting that way, I would do it in a heartbeat. But I'm here to tell you, you're going to get pushback. You will get told you're crazy. You will get told that, what, you don't know anything about economics. Go take an economics class. You'll get these things. It's going to happen. But it's worth it. I'm telling you, folks, we got 12 years to consider what our next steps are. And, you know, for me, that's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. It's absolutely a no-brainer. I'm hoping upon hope that you all will find it within yourselves to find the courage and the strength of your convictions that you not only listen to these live streams, because these live streams are meant to be an entry point into the realm of modern monetary theory. They're not intended to be a graduate or master's level, doctorate level kind of training. They're intended to be a gateway to understanding that when they tell you they got to cut spending, they're lying. It's a gateway to teaching you that when they tell you they got to reduce the deficit, they're reducing your income. It's a gateway to explaining away the bullshit that you hear in the news and that you hear in the politicians speak when they go up in front of you. When you hear Warren Buffett's, that stupid chain email that goes around, I could balance the budget in no time, I could reduce the deficit in no time. And it's just ridiculous. And people keep sending that to me, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, guys, have you not listened to me at all? This is bullshit. Why do you want to reduce the deficit? Because people don't really listen. A lot of times, seriously, I'm shocked that people that have said they've listened to me for years come back to me with some of the same stuff. And I'm like, maybe I should hang it up, man. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not doing the greatest ever, right? I don't know, man. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, because why in the world would they bring me this Warren Buffett thing about reducing the deficit if they understood that the deficit, the government that creates money on its own, it needs to run a deficit for us to have money in our pockets. Otherwise, there's no money except for bank credit. And you don't want to live and die on bank credit, do you? No. So why in the world would you want to reduce the deficit? What does that even mean? Why would you even say something like that after listening for years to what we talk about? It doesn't make sense. And it's the deficit, a massive fiscal expenditure, a massive federal outburst of mobilization to destroy the issues at stake in terms of climate change that are going to make the difference. All of us sitting there, choosing some different dietary plan and suddenly choosing to drive different cars. I'm telling you, it'll make some impact, but it's not going to make enough of an impact. This has got to be a global mobilization. It requires a president, and it requires voices of people that have an active desire to see our species survive and thrive. And I'm asking you all to think about this as you go forward in your activism life, to read. My son's upstairs. They can hear him screaming through the thing. It's hilarious. He's throwing me off my game. But it's very important to me, Mr. Butters, it's very important to me that you all take the time, to read the literature that we provide, to read the links that we put out there. I mean, it's not, you can take my word for it, and that's fine. I appreciate your confidence. I assure you I'm not lying to you, but why not take it a step further so that you know where the resources are when someone says something really preposterous, that you are an advanced arm of this army, this warfare that we're fighting, so that you have the necessary information. Now, I understand that if you didn't read the link, it's even harder to expect the guy that you would be giving it to read the link. So part of your job is to read the link and understand what it says. Because taking this fight, this fight for climate change and 12 years and so forth requires that you understand what you're fighting for. It's not just good enough to yell 12 years. It's important that we understand that we can afford everything, that we don't have to suddenly become like the black and white movie where we're all wearing burlap sacks and we're sitting there holding out a little teeny wooden bowl for porridge. It doesn't have to be that way either. And that's the problem. If you don't understand this, then people will naturally start seeing this is evil socialism. You're just trying to enslave us. You're trying to give us this bleak future. It is not that. It doesn't have to be that. It only is that when you think it's coming from taxpayer dollars. Then the rich people want you to suffer because you've taken their money. And it's just stupid because money doesn't grow on rich people. It grows from our federal government. And that is the way we mobilize. Our federal government can put this stuff into motion like that, just like that. But the people have to push for it, whether we've got a shitty president with a bad comb over or whether we've got your favorite guy in the world up there or gal. It requires the people. FDR said, I want to do it, but now you got to make me do it. Now, whether they want us to do it, whether they're with us, doesn't matter. What matters is that we, the people, know, and that we, the people, don't let them lie to us anymore, and that we force their hand to save us in spite of ourselves. It's that important, my friends. It's that important. So what I'm hoping here is that you guys will hold the fort, that you will understand. I'm going to end voting now. And I'm going to close this program out by saying, ultimately, that if you want to see the kind of change that you want to see, if you think these things are unattainable, they will be unattainable. If you think they're worth fighting for and you put your best effort in, let's say we all get wiped out anyway. At least you went down fighting, right? That's all you can do. You can't force an ignoramus to suddenly give a crap, but you can create different ways of saying the same thing so that you meet them at their point of need, because we need everyone, not just Democrats, right? It's not just vote blue no matter. We need everyone. We need everybody, even people you don't like. Hell, I'm surrounded by people I don't like, and I've got to fight for them too. And God damn it, they're going to have to fight for me. Even if they don't like me, doesn't matter. This isn't a popularity contest. This is about survival of the species. The earth is going to keep on ticking. It's going to keep on spinning. We're just not going to be a big part of it anymore. Let's learn MMT. Let's help guys like Bill McKibben realize that it's in his best interest to marry up his wonderful science and match that over here clearly with the economics that will create a mass mobilization, larger scale than World War II. So one of the things that is exciting to me is that we're going to have a special guest tomorrow night, and I'm hoping that you all will enjoy this as well. I think that you all know my next guest. He's Stephen Hale. He's been with us before many times. And I'm hoping that you guys will be able to visit us tomorrow night, 9 p.m. That's tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In any event, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to sign off for now. My name is Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. Have a great day, everyone.